Hi, this is Omer. Now, my first comments have been, now what? Let me set my timer. Try for 7 to 8 minutes. Okay, now what? Comments I've gotten is, I feel betrayed. Was I in a cult? I was lied to. Let's slow down. First of all, from the years I've been in this, I know something about you. If you're very involved in this, you were afraid of the future, and this gave you a box to put everything in. In fact, you've studied real hard. You've actually studied hard enough that I would say we tend to be Gnostic in this movement. In other words, special knowledge will save us. So, why do I know this stuff? Because this is what hooked me, is fear of the future. I wanted to know. I had to know. I wanted the special information. I used man as my guide instead of God, instead of the two men on the way to Emmaus when Yeshua showed up and they didn't recognize him. And he explained everything to them. In the scripture later on it said, and he will give you understanding. There's numerous verses we've talked about on the Lord giving understanding. Well, sometimes we can short circuit those things. In other words, what happened to Abraham and Sarah? They were promised a child, weren't they? Well, in their flesh, Sarah gave Abraham Hagar, the woman of the bondwoman. And that trouble is with us today because they tried to figure out in their flesh how to have a child instead of waiting, 25 years for a promise. So God's a patient person, and he does test us. That's all over Scripture on testing. So are you trying to get your own solution for the end and traded the flyaway for the walkaway? I think many of us wanted that order and wanted to believe that it was easy. So what next? Well, first of all, we know the season, but I guarantee you aren't going to have special information about it. You will have information that the Lord gives you. And so what verse do you need to know and cling to? First of all, John 10:27. My sheep know my voice, and I know them. They hear me, I know them, and they follow me. This is about spiritual preparation. Holiness is going to get you closer to safety than anything else. You're going to take refuge in the Lord. If you're holy, if you're with God, then what's it matter what happens? Or if you get hot, or if you get caught with an area that has the bitter waters, or even is this the answer? Isaac Newton spent his whole life trying to convince people in his age that we're in this end-time frenzy like we are today with things, that the end wasn't going to come until 2060. I've covered that elsewhere. We've followed men. We've tried to use special knowledge or Gnosticism to save us. In this secure, boring world, this jazzes us. And so the first thing that happens when you lose this walk away and everything you put it into, confusion. It's almost like leaving a cult. You were so comfortable. You had your plans. You knew what to do. Guess what? You're going to have to go ask the Lord what to do. And read Revelation 14, because there are three angels that come to talk to us before the mark is given, because one says don't take the mark. Don't you think that angel is going to tell us some things? And the 144 are on the scene yet, so just relax. Now, am I preparing? I am preparing for unexpected events in the world. The world, if it's in the beginning of sorrows, and it could be, I don't know. I won't know it's in the end until the altar is set up in Jerusalem. There is no other way to know we're really in the end until the altar is set up. Because if the altar is set up, now it could be years before it's shut down, or it may be right away. We don't know. But so, am I making preparations? You bet I've got a year's worth of food. In fact, I've got a video on that. But it's not for what you think. It's not for the end. It's maybe for the end of my job. It's maybe for end of America, because God judged it. But if you if you were in Japan when the tsunami warning came, could you have heard God? Could you have heard your God tell you, get out now with nothing? I saw a tape, a video of a whole warehouse full of small safes opened. They'd opened them full of money from the tsunami. In other words, would you have stopped to get your safe? You wouldn't have made it. That's the relationship we need with the Lord now. Not to go to some camp run by men that are probably going to get you into a line to be beheaded, because if it's not of God, you're in real trouble. And no one has answered my questions that I've said about 1 Corinthians 10 or about Matthew 24. Why do you accept the kosher food in Acts 10 and let Scripture interpret it, and you don't let 1 Corinthians 10 interpret it? It's about holiness. It's about knowing the Lord. It's about overcoming. Go to 1 John 5:4. What overcomes but our faith in who? Yeshua, Mashiach. There is no other way. I don't care how much food you had, and that tsunami was higher than anybody could predict in Japan. It was a shame. Men had confidence in something that God can undo. If He wants your food, He can have it. I mean, He can take it. I know. I've had Him take everything from me twice. And you'd think that I would learn. I hope I have. But I don't want you to have to learn that way, because logistically there is no way to have anybody store enough food up if God doesn't show up for you. And I doubt He'll show up in a camp that is not scriptural. Now, that doesn't mean we may not be in camps, but it's not going to be after a Passover like that, according to Scripture. The Kabbalah, if it's true, we can do it in a heartbeat. We're already prepared for other events. So, this is Omer, and Lord bless you. Get into the Scripture, have the mind of Mashiach, take every thought captive, because He is the Word, and if your mind is the Word, then you're with Him. So, you've got your homework cut out for you. It's not going to be easy, but it's not confusing, because you're going to have to trust God now. I would think you'd reread Sarah and Abraham. That was quite a thing that they put on the whole world forever. Let's not us do it. The 10 tests in the wilderness are wonderful lessons about grumbling, murmuring. And 1 Corinthians 10 talks about it. So, Yah be with you. This is Omer.